Rachel, Maine Cooperative Extension Sustainable Agriculture and Livestock Educator. This video is going to cover the basics of lambing preparation. And today we are at Waldowview Farm with owner and shepherd Tom Hodgman. Tell us a little bit about yourself, the history of the farm, and some of the topics that we're going to cover today.
Yeah, we have Katahdin hair sheep. We are running about 70 Katahdin ewes right now. We've been doing that for this is our 18th lambing season, so we've been doing it for quite some time. We're a seed stock producer, so we sell breeding animals, mostly starter flocks, replacement ewe lambs, and stud ram lamb prospects. I want to go over some of the basics of getting ready for lambing season for processing a lamb at birth. I also want to show you our lambing setup and how lambing flow works in our barn, how we go from pregnant ewes to a pen of lactating ewes and their lambs.
We just want to make a note that what is covered in this video is what works for Tom and his farm, and some things might not be applicable to your management system, but hopefully you will find a few tips and tricks to help with preparing your sheep and goats for birthing.
So this is the bulk of our brood ewe flock. These are the winter lambers. Right now we're in late gestation, so we've been working on getting them onto an increasing plane of nutrition, building up the quality of their diet as gestation progresses. These ewes came off a pasture in late November. They had been with the rams from say early September to late October, and now we're in the barn, and we're looking for lambs to start in early February. These ewes are all vaccinated now as of a couple of weeks ago, and they are ready to roll into lambing season. So we use a deep bedding method. What we've been doing is offering free choice round bales inside the barn. After a couple of days, there's really nothing left but some pretty coarse stemming material. And we spread that around in the bedding as bedding, covering up any wet spots. But over time, it builds up significantly, as you can see. This is only since November, and we have been feeding mostly here on this edge because we can load the bales in with the tractor. So it's much easier on us, less time consuming, less labor intensive. So that builds up a really nice pack, but you can't keep building it forever, and you do have to clean it out. So we'll clean it out here in the next few days before we get onto lambing season. So, but there's a couple of things that are important to note. That there's really a trade-off between this really nice bedding. It's dry, it's warm because it's composting underneath it, so it's giving off some heat. But it's also off-gassing, so there's some ammonia and some other things that come off of it that are a disadvantage. So there are some advantages and disadvantages. But if you clean your barn out every day or every week, you'll have especially on a concrete floor, which is what this is. It's a very cold barn. It'll be quite cold. But another trade-off is that it'd be a lot cleaner. So we like this method. We think it's the best balance of a clean, warm space for the sheep, and we can clean it out relatively easily with a tractor and loader.
All right, now we're in the barn. Tom, can you explain to us what the flow is, and how you get your ewes ready for lambing?
Sure. One thing about winter lambing is that it sort of defies nature, goes against nature. So when you're winter lambing, we are putting a group of pregnant ewes, heavily pregnant ewes, all together in a tight confined space. In nature or on pasture lambing, what we see is ewes often separate themselves from the flock. So they go off and they find a little clump of grass and they'll hide behind that and have their lambs there. And then after a day or so, they'll merge those lambs with the rest of the flock. Here, that isn't an opportunity to do that. So you do find ewes that will wander into a corner somewhere. But there are other ewes that are very strongly maternal, especially in this breed, and they will steal lambs. We have a fair number of triplets, and the newborn set of lambs might not stay right with their mother, and they get roaming around, and other ewes are in the way, and it's a lot for a young ewe to handle. So it is a bit outside of nature, and we have to have some methods to help accomplish that. What we have right now is a group of ewes are all in late gestation. They pretty much have free run of the place, but soon we're going to start lambing. And what we want to do is we want to bring a ewe that is about to lamb. She's showing all those basic signs. She's pawing, she's baaing, she's sniffing the ground, she's up and down, up and down, up and down. Ewes like that, if they haven't progressed too far, we like to get them into a private space, basically. So we'll bring them into what we call our drop pen, which in this case is about 6 feet by 8 feet. We have 2 gates, one on that side, one on this side. So if we have to assist with her, we can get in there easily without disturbing her. And this is where she would have her lambs, and this would be her own little space for a few hours. After the lambs are out and up, and we want to get them nursing, we keep an eye on that. Sometimes lambs will nurse themselves. Other times they might require a little bit of assistance. We generally try to make sure the ewe always has milk on both sides of her udder. So we'll remove the little wax plug on the end of the teat. That's sometimes just as simple as rolling it in your fingers and then stripping a little bit of milk out. Or you might have to use your thumbnail and scratch the tip to get the wax loosened up. But generally speaking, it's pretty easy. And once you have milk flowing and the lambs want to nurse, then we're pretty much good to go. Once those lambs are done that, then we process them, we weigh them, dip their navels with iodine, and off to the jugs they go. What we do is we use 9 individual jugs, and those jugs are a small pen, as I mentioned, about 4 feet wide by 5 feet long. This is an area where the mother and her lambs, her newborn lambs, are given a little private, quiet space to bond. She learns their sounds and smells, and they learn her sounds and her smells, so that when they get into a larger group, they don't get lost.
Now you mentioned picking up the lamb. So like if say one lamb's out in the open here, would she follow you easily into the jug?
That's a great question. We do a couple of things. If a ewe is in full-on labor and down pushing, she has lamb coming out, that's her space. We don't disturb her if we can avoid it. That's her space, but we generally keep a good eye on it. She defends that space until her lambs are born, and then she's mobile. So what we do is we respect her space, and then once she's had both lambs, then you pick up those lambs, and they will fall. You just walk them along, and oftentimes we just keep them low to the ground because she's trained to be looking low to the ground. So we just basically walk the baby lambs over to the jug alley and then get them in here. The other thing we do is we have a series of folding panels, which is just 2 panels forming an L. And in a pinch, if they're way over there, and it's easier to just leave them where they are, or some other complication, or we have no jugs available, we'll just make temporary jugs out there somewhere up against a corner, up against a wall, or something like that, with 2 or 3 makeshift panels, and that works well too. It's only for a couple of days. Some of those ewes might only need 24 to 48 hours time to bond with those lambs, but it's important. We'll also ultimately set up an area where the ewes that have lambed out and have their babies and are nursing, they'll have an area by themselves, not with the other pregnant mothers. So that's how we do it here.